It was 4:18. On the southern bank of the Seversky Donets River, Russian engineering troops were about to achieve the impossible. Their PP-2005 pontoon bridge system was just 12 meters away from linking the two sides of the river. The Russian commander was confident in the secrecy of the operation. The dense morning fog filling the river valley provided a natural shield, while the TDA-3 vehicles deployed on the bank created an artificial aerosol screen blinding thermal cameras. However, they failed to account for one thing. The temperature differential within the fog was bending radio signals, carrying them 3 times further than normal. And 6 kilometers away, deep inside an abandoned mine, 2 Ukrainian night hunter teams were listening to this signal anomaly. For the Russians, this bridge meant reopening their logistical arteries. On the opposite bank, 14 T-90M tanks were idling their engines, warming up, waiting to reach the forward units whose fuel was running dangerously low. The moment the bridge was complete, this armored fist would punch through the Ukrainian defenses. On the tactical screen in front of the Ukrainian operators, there was a simple countdown. 8 minutes until the final pontoon was locked. The Ukrainian team could not use standard GPS-guided munitions. The Russians had installed a Pol-21 electronic warfare system in the area. This system jammed all satellite navigation signals within a 20-kilometer radius, creating an invisible dome in the sky. Any drone relying on GPS would lose its bearings and crash into the river the moment it entered this dome. Therefore, the operators made a risky decision: line of sight guidance. 12 heavy-lift drones took off from the mine shaft. Each carried RKG-3 anti-tank grenades modified for tank destruction. Yet, these drones were blind. The Pol-21 signals could also disrupt video feeds. The solution was above the clouds. A simple fixed-wing Baba Yaga relay drone made of styrofoam and plastic, gliding at 800 meters, which Russian radars likely mistake for a flock of birds, would bounce the signals from above, penetrating the top of the jamming dome. As the drones approached the river, the radar of the Russian Tor-M2 air defense system detected the small anomalies in the sky. The system locked on to the targets, but did not fire. Why? Because the Russian operator was hesitant to strike friendly assets on his own bridge. The Tor-M2's missiles, attempting to hit low-flying drones, could blow up the bridge itself. This hesitation bought the Ukrainians exactly 14 seconds. In warfare, 14 seconds is a lifetime.
The first drone punched through the fog screen at 110 kilometers per hour. When it emerged from the artificial smoke, there was nothing but a gray ambiguity in front of the operator. Only the faint reflection of the bridge's metal pontoons on the river was discernible. With an instinctual move, the operator dropped the altitude to 15 meters. This made it difficult to keep the drone aloft using the ground effect over the water's surface, but it simultaneously put it into the Tor-M2's radar blind spot. By the time the Russian commander heard the panic screams over the radio, it was too late. The first drone plunged not onto the bridge, but into the soft, muddy ground where the tanks were waiting. The target was not the tanks. The target was the tension mechanism for the main steel cables anchoring the bridge to the bank. The explosion tore through the silent morning. The shrapnel-laden warhead shattered the tension mechanism. Tons of bridge structure lost its resistance to the river's current. But the real destruction was yet to begin. When the bridge lost its stability, the first T-90M tank trying to cross began to slide. The 48-ton behemoth was like a hockey puck skidding on wet metal. The Russian tank crew gunned the engine, but the treads only scraped sparks off the steel. Exactly then, the second and third drone waves arrived. This time, the targets were surgical. Not the tank's engine grills or turret, but directly the hydraulic locks at the bridge's joint sections. These locks were the sensitive pieces holding the pontoons together. With the explosion of the second drone, a chain reaction began. The bridge snapped in half like a broken-spined snake. The T-90M on it slowly listed sideways as its center of gravity shifted and sank into the murky water with its turret hatch open. A massive steam explosion occurred as the river's cold water hit the tank's scorching engine block. The other tanks on the bank tried to retreat, blocking each other's paths in the muddy terrain. Russian anti-aircraft guns lowered their barrels and began firing into the water, but the drones had already completed their mission. 8 of the 12 drones scored hits, and a multi-million-dollar logistics operation was dismantled in 45 seconds by devices powered by batteries that could be bought at a local store. As the Ukrainian team saw signal loss on their screens, they were already packing their equipment. By the time Russian artillery tried to calculate their coordinates, they had vanished into the mine's tunnels. In the riverbed, nothing remained but the air bubbles left by a sinking tank and fragmented piles of pontoons carried away by the current. The mathematics of war had changed once more.